If you've been feeling completely drained by your job and wondering if it's you or if something is really wrong with the work environment, you definitely need to watch this video all the way through. First, let me start by saying you're not crazy and you're definitely not alone or the problem. When you are in a job that feels like it is slowly stealing your peace and sucking your soul dry, that is not something that you can just push through or pray away. Because staying in a toxic environment that is out of alignment with your core values isn't just uncomfortable, it is unsustainable. Over time, doing this chips away at your confidence, your sense of purpose, even your health. And girl, you deserve way better than that. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to leave a toxic job and finally step into work that aligns with your values and priorities, not just your resume. I am going to walk you through 3 essential steps to help you find work that aligns with your values so that you can finally feel like you are living on purpose and doing meaningful work. These 3 steps are the same steps that I teach my clients inside my group coaching program, Find Your Fulfilling Career. These are the steps that multiple women have followed and finally broken free from toxic work environments that had been draining them for years. Hello, if this is your first time here, welcome. I'm Dr. 𝙁𝙤𝙣𝙔𝙪. I'm a career coach and I help professional women, especially women of faith, leave miserable jobs where they are feeling drained and land higher paying jobs that they love. Now let's get into today's video. Okay, so first, why is doing work that matches and aligns with your values so important? I wanna start here because when you're doing work that doesn't match your values, it doesn't just make you annoyed, it makes you miserable. Like your values are not just preferences. Your values are your compass. They are your beliefs. They guide your decision making and they anchor your very identity. So when you're doing work where those values are being dismissed or even worse, violated day in and day out, it doesn't just make you tired. It starts causing you to question everything and feel miserable and drained every day. And when that happens, what you find is that now you're coming home emotionally numb. You don't feel like you can connect with your loved ones or your friends. Your weekends don't feel like a break because you're spending all your energy over the weekend trying to recover from a draining work week instead of actually being rejuvenated and restful. And then your confidence just takes hit after hit after hit so that now you're wondering, am I even qualified? Am I as skilled as I thought I was? There are 3 things that happen when you're doing work that aligns with your values. Let's walk through them. First, you will stop second guessing yourself at work and start trusting your voice again. When you are working in an environment that reflects your values, you don't have to shrink or tolerate toxicity just to get through the day. Second, when you're doing work that aligns with your values, you will have the energy and headspace to be more present outside of work. So think about your family, your friends, your loved one, your faith, your personal goals. You won't have to come home emotionally drained and exhausted every single day. And finally, you will remember that you actually have options in your career and that you don't have to settle for work that is going to cost you your peace. And for me, I think a perfect example of this for me is one of my clients who came to work with me in my coaching program, Find Your Fulfilling Career. And this was after years of her feeling disrespected and micromanaged at work. She always felt anxious, she felt on edge, but she didn't know why. And she talked to me about how she would always cry after work and her husband would ask her what was wrong, but she didn't have the words to tell him. And that made her feel even more frustrated. And then just 2 weeks into coaching, she came to me and she was like, I realized these people are violating my values. And that small shift alone gave her the clarity to start setting boundaries at her miserable job. So even before she left the job, her daily life got more manageable. Now, she did eventually transition into a role that aligned with her values, that allowed her to have the impact she wanted to make. And she even launched a side gig using skills that she had long forgotten about, but she discovered these skills when we worked together in FYFC. I'm sharing that because that's what's possible when you make your values the foundation of your career change, not the afterthought. So now let's get into the 3 steps that you can follow to help you leave your toxic job and move into something that aligns with your values and priorities. The first step is to get clear about your values. Now, let me guess. You have probably said to yourself, at some point, you've probably said, I don't know if this job is right for me. I just don't know what would be better. And one of the main reasons that women stay stuck in jobs that aren't working is because they have never had the space or support to define what actually matters to them. So think about yourself. You've probably been in survival mode at work. You are managing other people's expectations. You're just trying to keep the peace in your team, or you're dealing with microaggressions every day. And you're doing all this while feeling underpaid, undervalued, and unhappy. So now it's time to ask yourself, what matters most to me? And the way to do that is to clarify your core values. So I want you to take a few minutes to think back to your past experiences at work and ask yourself, when did I feel proud, energized, or appreciated? And when did I feel disrespected, drained, or invisible? Then pause and name the values that were either being honored or violated in those situations. So maybe you felt really amazing in a role that gave you flexibility or autonomy, or maybe you were struggling in a job where you were constantly micromanaged or afraid to speak up. These are all clues that can help you clarify what is important to you, which are your values. Once you do that, you can identify your 3 to 5 top values. And when you're doing this, don't write generic things like culture, okay? I want you to think about the core beliefs that matter to you. Like think integrity, creativity, faith, family, growth, leadership, wellness. Identifying those values is going to be your first and most important step. Now, by the way, I should pause here and say that inside my coaching program, Find Your Fulfilling Career, my clients are able to identify what we call your non-negotiable values in less than 3 hours, because they have access to a powerful assessment activity and the guided workbook that I provide. And these activities help you very quickly identify your non-negotiable values. That way, you're not wasting hours trying to figure this out on your own. And then the second step is to understand how work can support or conflict with your values. Here's the thing, and I hear this all the time. People will come to me and say, I didn't realize how bad my job was until I started breaking down outside of work. And that is the very real toll of being in a role that violates your values day after day. It literally breaks you down physically, spiritually, relationally, and mentally. So the next step is asking yourself, what would values alignment look like in my day-to-day? Like, how can you take your values from being just words that you've written to a reality of how you want your work to look and feel? This step is about connecting the dots between your values and what that actually looks like in your day-to-day. For example, if you value flexibility, you might ask yourself, what kind of schedule or communication style do I need? Or if you value growth, you might ask yourself, are there opportunities for me to learn or lead in this company? If you value faith or integrity, you might want to assess, can you speak up when something feels off at work? Will you be required to do shady things that make you feel like you're living out of alignment with your faith and integrity? So I want you to look at the list from step 1 and think of a question you can ask someone in a company to assess if that value that you wrote will be supported or violated. This is how you stop looking at job titles or just the salary and actually start thinking about how your work will actually feel every day. This is how you find fulfilling work that energizes you. And this is important because work can be one of the most powerful ways that we live out our values, or one of the most damaging. Now, if you're finding this video helpful so far, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. When you subscribe, it helps you by making sure that you never miss any future videos that I share here on YouTube. And liking the video is how you tell the little YouTube gremlins that this video is helpful, so they need to share it with more people who need this content. Thank you. Okay, now step 3 is to learn how to research roles and companies through the lens of your values. So at this point, you've named your values, you understand how they show up in the workplace. Then the most important part that a lot of people skip is using those values as a filter before you apply for a role. Like, most people just jump straight to updating their resume and applying without thinking about how to use their values as a filter. But girl, that is a one-way ticket to ending up in another job that you hate. So using your values as a filter means looking beyond just the job title on a job description and actually reading between the lines in the job description. Do they emphasize autonomy or heavy oversight, collaboration or independence? What values are you seeing indirectly reflected in the job description? Then reviewing company websites and about pages. Do they mention values that match your values, or are they just using like corporate speak, right? What values are or are not reflected on the company's website? And most importantly, reading employee reviews on websites like Glassdoor, or better yet, actually reaching out to people who used to work in the company. That's where the tea is, okay? Reach out and ask questions like, how was feedback handled on your team? Or what was the expectation around availability and communication in this company? Or you can ask, what kind of support did new hires receive in the first 90 days? Ask whatever you want to know. But this is how you can be intentional in your job search and land a job that matches your values and priority. And look, at this point, you already know what happens when you ignore red flags. Shoot, you're probably experiencing it right now. So this is the time for you to look for alignment at the beginning, not later. But if you're watching this video and there's a part of you that's, saying or thinking, but I don't know what I want, I just know what I don't want. That's actually not a bad place to start. Knowing what's not working in your career actually gives you priceless insight into what has been out of alignment and making you feel unhappy for years. So once you know what you don't want to do, you can just use that to figure out what you do want to do. So not knowing isn't a bad place to be. It's just a different place for you to start from. And you can still clarify your values and find work that matches even when you don't know. I will say this though, it's important to mention that this is literally what I help women do inside my coaching program, Find Your Fulfilling Career. Like literally in the first 30 days of the program, you will clarify your values, you will figure out your next career move so that you're job search ready. So if you don't want to waste time doing this on your own, you definitely need to check out FYFC, okay? Just look in the description below for a link to learn more about FYFC, okay? Now let's recap the 3 steps to help you leave your toxic job and find work that aligns with your values and priorities. 1 is get clear on your values. 2, understand how work can support those values. And 3, research companies and industries through the lens of the values. When you follow these steps, you will become so much more clear and confident about your career direction. You will remember that you actually do have options for fulfilling work. So if you're ready to stop settling for a job that drains you and finally find one that aligns with your values and pays you well, this is what you need to do, right? Clarify your values, or better yet, register for my free training, Leave Your Miserable Job. In my free on-demand training, I actually walk you through the exact steps to clarify what you want, position yourself for it, and land a higher paying job. So if you go to leaveyourmiserablejob.com, you can learn all about the training, or that link is in the description below. You can register, you can sign up, you can watch the video today, and that's going to be your most important first step for leaving that toxic job that's draining you and landing a fulfilling role where you can actually thrive and feel like you're living on purpose. Thank you for watching this video. And if you found it helpful, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. That way you never miss a future video from me when it's published on here. And that tells YouTube to share this video with more people, which helps my channel grow. Now, once you do hit the like and subscribe button though, don't click away, stick around. Watch the next video. There's another video that's popping up on the screen right here, right now. Just watch it. Where are you going? Just watch it. If you got things to do, put your earbuds in, take your phone with you, but just watch this video.